Our first template then that we want to draw is going to be the pain and temperature of the body, or again, the anterior lateral system. As we look at this, it is going to be imperative that you practice drawing these different pathways. And as you work through this, you will have these blank templates available to you on the Canvas website. And so, again, practice, practice, practice drawing and labeling. Okay, with that being said, we're going to begin down here with this little spinal cord. And we're going to talk about the first order neuron in this pathway. The first order neuron is going to begin as a free nerve ending. And I'm just going to abbreviate that FNE. And that's perfectly acceptable. It is imperative that you identify the receptor that the body is using. These are going to be examples of pseudo-unipolar neurons. And these pseudo-unipolar neurons are going to have their cell bodies in the dorsal root ganglion. If this is fast pain, these neurons are going to come into the spinal cord dorsal horn, where they will synapse in laminas 1, 4, and 5. So we're just going to show that coming in here. If this system is the slow system, we will also begin with free nerve endings. We will see that the cell body is going to be in the dorsal root ganglion. And these are also going to come into the dorsal horn. But this time, since these are type 3 fibers, these are going to synapse only in lamina 2. But what we see with the slow fibers is that these slow fibers are going to ascend and descend in the spinal cord in a structure which is called the tract of Lissauer. Okay, the tract of Lissauer. So here's what we're saying. If this represents the spinal cord and we have the fast pain, we're going to see that, let's say this is T2. We are going to have that nerve come in, synapse only at the level of T2. But if this is slow pain, it's going to come in and also synapse at the level of T2. But neurons are going to ascend to T1 and descend to T3. One of the things that we said about slow pain was that this pain is diffuse. It's not well localized. And the reason for that is the tract of Lissauer. Okay, so that's the first order neuron. And one of the things that you are going to have to do associated with your drawing is you are going to have to make a choice as to what fibers you're going to choose based on the scenario that you are given. Are you going to choose the fast pain or the slow pain? So now I'm just going to transfer that information onto the big template. So I'm going to show my free nerve ending. I'm going to show my cell body in the dorsal root ganglion, and I'm going to show this synapsing. And then to keep my diagram as simple as possible, I'm going to write up here 1A is going to go into laminas 1, 4, and 5. Slow pain is going to go into lamina 2. Okay? Now from here, we're going to look at that second order neuron. Well, the second order neuron is going to begin, obviously, where the first order neuron ends. But it's going to immediately cross the midline. And it is going to cross the midline in the anterior white commissure. And then it is going to ascend in the brainstem. And it's going to ascend in the spinothalamic tract. If this is fast pain, so I'm going to say 1A, this is going to go to the VPL nucleus of the thalamus. If this is slow pain, this is going to go into the intralaminar nuclei of the thalamus. So this will be another area where you're going to have to make a choice. And then finally, we have our third order neuron. The third order neuron is going to come out of one of the two nuclei of the thalamus. It is then going to ascend through the posterior limb of the internal capsule, where it will project to area 312. And that area 312 is set up on a somatotopic orientation. So if it's from the head, it's going to go here. If it's going to the arm, it is here. If it's going to the trunk, it is here. And if it's going to the leg, it is over here. So this is the first part of this anterior lateral system. But we know that there's two other parts to this. First of all, we have the pain modulation part. Now, the good news is that this system is going to use the same first order neuron. So everything that we said about that first order neuron is going to be the same. The second order neuron then is going to begin where the first order neuron ended. It also is going to cross in the anterior white commissure. It is going to ascend with the spinothalamic tract, where it will end in the periaqueductal gray. And that is the spinotectal tract. And then finally, we have the pathway associated with the autonomic nervous system response, which was the spinal reticular tract. This tract is also going to use the first order neuron that all the other systems use. Second order neuron is going to come off, cross the midline in the anterior white commissure. It is going to ascend and then terminate in the reticular formation of the brainstem. And this will be the spino-reticular tract. For testing purposes, you will never be asked to draw the entire system, as I have it shown right here. And so, again, if this is too much for you, I would suggest that you get 3 templates and you draw each tract onto the template. So you'll have a template for the spinothalamic tract, a template for the spinal reticular tract, a template for the spinotectal tract. Because when it comes to testing, you will be asked a very precise question, and that question will lead you to only one tract, not all 3.